I've got pumpkins, yay! It is October, it is pumpkin season. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And as you well know, in a grocery store, if you go to Starbucks, you see it everywhere. Pumpkin flavored this, pumpkin flavored lattes, pumpkin flavored muffins. You know, who cares about the pumpkin flavoring when you can have the real thing? And I'm gonna do a couple of videos showing you how to actually use pumpkin in different dishes. And tonight, we're gonna make something real easy and real simple, roasted pumpkin. And the added benefit of pumpkin, since this is a low carb channel, you guessed it, they are low carb and loaded with vitamins and nutrients. First thing you got to do when you're working with a pumpkin is you got to have the right tools. It's really thick. It is about, this one is about 4 pounds. And I should say you don't want to work with the one that you have outside that you cut the little triangles in for the face and put the candles in for Halloween. You want to use a pie pumpkin simply because they're a lot easier to manage. And the big ones are just a pain to work with. Not that you can't eat them, you could, but the pie pumpkins make the most sense. Even though it's called a pie pumpkin, it's not really as sweet or anything like that. Although it is where you get the puree to make your pumpkin pie. So that's what I work with. But as far as tools, you can try using a nice sharp kitchen knife, chef's knife. The only problem is with that, I find, is that the pumpkin rolls around a bit, so you're gonna have to cut off a piece here of the flesh in order to keep it firm and steady. Otherwise, if it rolls around, it's not really safe. I went online and sort of tooled around and looked at, oh, what other ways could I cut this puppy with? And one recommendation, I'm gonna try it here, is with a mallet and a big old butcher knife, basically. So to do that though, it's recommended you have a mallet that is wooden or soft. I don't, so I'm gonna improvise and I'm gonna use one of my dishcloths to sort of protect the knife. That's sort of a big thing. Now, when I was playing around with the pumpkin, you should be able just be able to hold the stem, twist the pumpkin, and the stem comes off. And I thought, well, it just seems a little bit on there really hard because I'm carrying it around by this. And lo and behold, I did it by accident. I wish I could have done it on camera because it was like, oh, it is that simple. So I already got that off because you want to make sure you get this fleshy part. It's a lot softer than the actual rind of the pumpkin. So with that, what I'm gonna do is steady my knife and do this, and hopefully I get it right. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and try this. And you just sort of hit it, and you wanna cut through and drive the knife through without hitting the pumpkin. Where am I at? Ah, I'm actually pretty good job going through. So I'm gonna take it out. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna work on the side a little bit. There we go. So actually that is a nice little way of cutting the pumpkin. I'm gonna work this side now. I didn't quite get it even, but that's okay. So not too shabby for my first attempt at using a mallet and the big butcher knife. So what I'm gonna do now is clean out the pumpkin. It's scooping, it's using a spoon, whatever you have, and you wanna clean out all of the loose little pieces of the flesh. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that I've got some loose strands here, and I don't really wanna take them, and I can't really get them up with my spoon, so that's what the scissors are for. You're just gonna cut them out. Like that. So it's that simple. I got a few more that I need to do. And then I'm gonna go ahead, clean the rest of this out, and I'll show you how to prepare the pumpkin for the oven. All right, I have my pumpkin all cleaned out. I got my seeds off to the side for me to use later. I'm roasting this in the oven for about 30 minutes at 400 degrees. And the way you tell that it's done is when you can poke the flesh, the sides of it real easily, can go straight in with a paring knife. That's pretty much, then it's good to go. If it's still a little bit too tough, let it go for, check it about every 5 minutes or so. But that should be good. The skin, you'll start seeing, is gonna start blistering too, because you definitely want the skin off. But with that, I have kosher salt, and I'm gonna go ahead and just sprinkle a little bit on the flesh, on the meat of the pumpkin, if you will. And the reason why I'm doing that is simply because it helps draw moisture out. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not putting that much on. Again, just sprinkling it from above. Get a little bit on the inside walls here, but that's all you really need, just a few pinches. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna take this, again, I'm using parchment paper so you don't have any sticking problems. It's gonna go upside down. You wanna protect the flesh. You don't want it burning up. I'm gonna put these in the oven for about half hour, 35 minutes, somewhere around there. And then I'll show you what they look like when they come out and then how to get them up, how to get the skins off. All right, it's been a little bit more than 30 minutes. I pulled the pumpkin out at 30 minutes because I could take the knife and pierce it fairly easily. That's not a problem. But what I decided to do is, rather than handle it right away, it was too hot, so I let it cool for about a half hour. Normally I do it an hour, but it's actually, I can handle it right now, and it's pretty cold in my house, and it's keeping my hands nice and warm. Ooh. But what you'll notice as I press on this, I already made a little slash in this guy, but the skin sort of starts peeling, moving away from the actual flesh of the pumpkin. So I made a little incision, I just started peeling it, but the peel just comes pretty much right off real easily. You can skin it however you like, but it just sort of pulls right away, as you can see right here, how easy it comes off. So I'm gonna just go ahead and skin my pumpkin, and then I'm gonna dice it up, and I'm gonna get it ready for where I'm actually gonna be putting it at. It is roasted, it is tasty, I'll taste it, but I'm gonna put it in a special dish. Okay, I've cubed the pumpkin. I got some pieces that are a little mushy. That's actually a pretty good one. And what I'm doing with these pieces of pumpkin is I'm going to put them in my chili. And I have a link to my chili recipe below, the chili video that I did. But so this is going to be a pumpkin chili that I'm making. October is National Chili Month, so why not make a pumpkin chili? Yay! But just so you know, so you get an idea of what the pumpkin looks like, it's very soft. That's what it looks like on the inside, and it's real tasty. Has a little bit of a buttery feel to it almost, and I didn't put any butter on it, although that's another way I do roast it, where I just quarter all the pieces and I put butter on top and I just let it bake. That's another great way to sort of get more of a buttery flavor in it, but it has a nice texture. It's very firm. It's almost like any other squash, like a butternut squash or an acorn squash, but it's definitely a little bit of a pumpkin flavor to it. So if you like what you see, subscribe, like, and till next time, I'll see ya. I'm back. My husband started nibbling on a chili, and he just was raving about it. He really wanted me to sample it on camera for you. He was just shocked by the pumpkin in here, and I don't know why, but it is tasty. So I'm going to go ahead. It's because of a secret ingredient I added, so I'm just going to take a little nibble of the pumpkin, mix in with all the sauce. And it is delicious. It is freaking delicious. The reason why is, and again, I'll link to my chili recipe below, I just added a teaspoon of cinnamon to this about an hour before the chili is done cooking in the crock pot. Add some cinnamon, and then when the chili is done, you just go ahead, add the pumpkin to it, and then the pumpkin will heat right up fairly quickly, so it's warm when you're peeling it, and you'll have just deliciousness right away. It does taste yummy. It is awesome, and I hope you give it a try. So, bye again.